Hello, everyone. It is Brigid from the Art of Grace Publishing House, and I am here back with Author in the Spotlight. And thank you to Adaire Palmer from mytimetv.live. And we are here to bring you another episode of Authors in the Spotlight. And this week, we are changing tact. We are actually moving to our book, Hear Her Roar. This is a collection of stories from women who have experienced domestic abuse, and I couldn't be prouder to actually bring this book to the world and to actually make a difference in this arena. So I just wanted to read from you a bit that I wrote in the foreword of this book. Domestic abuse is where one person uses behaviour to control another. It can involve physical violence or emotional or financial manipulation. As a child, I was exposed to and witnessed domestic violence. Today, it makes me feel physically ill and heartsick to see that not much has changed in the world. It feels like the abuse has gotten worse instead of being better. I have a quote next to my bathroom mirror. One person can make a difference and everyone should try, by John F. Kennedy. What I can do to make a difference, even though I'm only one person, is create this collaboration and talk about domestic abuse and share resources. I'm so grateful that all of the women who showed up to participate in this book did. And although sometimes this is a difficult subject to talk about, it's important that we do so that we educate the next generation in what is appropriate behaviour and what is not. And I implore you, if you're here listening today, that you share this interview or interviews and you allow others the opportunity to learn through the experiences of those who have been there and come out the other side and have created lives for themselves beyond what they were living. I would like to welcome our first guest, who is Jen Sims, to join me. Jen is the founder of Zen by Jen Healing. She utilizes energy medicine within her powerful threefold methodology and facilitates natural healing for women in search of holistic path to releasing and healing trauma. Jen specialises in assisting women with emotional recovery after abuse. Originally, Jen worked within her local community to advocate for women, and in 2020, she began to expand her reach by working virtually with women around the world. Jen is a certified Reiki master, crystal healing practitioner, and meditation teacher, author, speaker, and women's advocate. Thank you for joining me, Jen. It's lovely to see you.
Thank you for having me, Brigid. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you.
So, Jen, contributing to a book like this is not an easy task. Can you tell me why you decided to do it?
Well, the ripple effect is the short answer. It was incredibly difficult to make myself that vulnerable, to put my story out there, because a lot of people that knew me or know me didn't really know what, was going on behind closed doors. So, kind of revealing all these private things to the whole world, is a very vulnerable feeling. But, my focus was always the impact that it was going to make. I knew that our book was going to, touch lives and change lives. And it has done that. So I'm incredibly proud of all the women who, came forward and shared their stories in our book, and just completely honored and very humbled to be in the company of all of you amazing women, and just very proud of what we've accomplished with the book.
Yeah. And it is true, isn't it, that we can, one story might be the catalyst for a woman to actually leave that one time sooner than they would have perhaps done had they not read stories in this book.
That's very true. I actually just got an email 2 days ago from a person who read our book and reached out to me through email and, was asking for resources, if I knew a support group and things like that. And so, like I said, it's just kind of confirmation that we are doing what we set out to accomplish with the book, and, inspiring other women to take their power back and change their life.
Yeah, you hadn't shared that with me. I love that. It makes me emotional. Whew. So our book is available on Amazon. I haven't got the actual paperback with me today because I'm at a different location, but Hear Her Roar is available on Amazon. You can click straight over to Amazon. Beautiful Adaire will put the links in for us, and you can click over to Amazon and you can purchase the book. And at the moment, it is on sale. The paperback is on sale. You can grab the ebook though, and you can grab the paperback from Amazon. So click on over there and grab your copy, and you'll be able to read these incredible stories. Jen, would you share with everyone just a little bit about, what was the catalyst for you to actually leave this domestic abuse situation?
Well, I touched on it in my chapter. There was kind of an epiphany moment for me where, some real serious kind of tragic things went down, and it became just, glaringly obvious that if I stayed, it was going to get much worse. Things were kind of escalating with his behavior and how irrational he was becoming. And so I just knew that it was time.
And that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, you perhaps spent time leaving previously. Is that correct?
I had not. I mean, I had been contemplating it for a whole year. It was the thoughts were kind of bouncing around in my head, but it's scary. And there's a lot of, in a way you have the stability of your home and your family and, the role that my husband played as a provider, even though I did work outside of the home, I mean, 2 incomes is better than one. Yeah. And, so all of those things and the kids, and what are people going to think? And, and like I said, from the outside, my life looked really, probably
perfect,
nearly perfect, on the outside we were just this beautiful family, and in a lot of ways we were really happy, but most of what I experienced as abuse went on behind closed doors, and a lot of kind of mental emotional stuff, so outside world didn't really see that. And so, I had thought about it. It was kind of bouncing around, churning in my mind for a whole year. And I prayed about it. I kept, kind of going in prayer and like, what do I do? Do I walk away from this marriage? Because, I was kind of raised as you stay married no matter what. You go down with the ship, and kind of these traditional roles that the man is, the head of the family, and that women are supposed to be kind of subservient to the husband. And so all those things kind of, I think, played a role in why I stayed as long as I did, and, why it was kind of hard for me to make the decision to actually end my marriage.
Yeah. And that is true, isn't it? There's so much conditioning that we live in, not only in the realm of marriage, but in the realm of being a woman, and, how we should behave and how we should dress and how we should do lots of things. So I think that, I'm really glad that you touched on that, because it's important for people to know that you are your own person and you can make decisions outside of what you were brought up in. And if they're better for you, then that's the right decision to make. Jen, what type of work do you do with women now?
Well, what I do energy healing sessions. So I utilize Reiki, breath work, meditation, and I just kind of help women go in and release trauma from the central nervous system, because we can do a lot of things externally, to kind of try to move past these traumas. But what a lot of people don't realize is trauma actually gets stuck in the cellular level of the body, in the actual tissues of the body. So with energy medicine, we can go in and actually release these traumas from the body. And, those stuck emotions, release those from the physical body. And then it allows you to heal on a level that is, beyond. And I'm not negating like talk therapy or anything like that, because I think those are important modalities too for a lot of people. But it's a different approach, it's a deeper, you get a deeper level of healing is, I guess, what I'm trying to say, when you can go in and actually release it from the body at a cellular level.
Yeah. Okay. So, having said that, so I experienced domestic abuse a different way than you did, whereas I witnessed it with my parents, and I did a lot of talk therapy. I mean, I went to counselling, I went to a psychiatrist, and it wasn't until I got older and actually had energy therapy that I actually released my trauma and forgave my dad for everything that he had done. And it was then that I was able to actually spread my wings and fly, as opposed to, it did help. Obviously, the talk therapy helped, but it wasn't until I did the energy work that I actually felt released. So, and I don't think I would have been as far along the journey if I hadn't have had that talk therapy. So I'm like you, it does have its place. But it's not the only option out there for people. So it's great that you offer these alternatives and different ways of doing things. I've heard you talk about domestic abuse and the system issues before. Can you share with us what that was like for you leaving, what it was like to navigate the system?
Well, I left in 2014, the latter part of 2014. It's 2020. I'm still dealing with the legal system right now as we speak. So it's incredibly frustrating. Time and time again, I would say, just point blank, the system's failed me. They don't. Where I live, I'm in the U.S. I'm in the Midwest, and the system, the laws aren't really written for, to advocate for women or for victims of domestic abuse, because I don't want to negate that sometimes it's men on the other side of this, but statistically it's women. So with my particular case, I endlessly reached out to law enforcement, filing multiple police reports, reporting stalking and harassment. And, I lost track of the number of times and the number of police reports, and it continuously fell on deaf ears. And even when I got to the point where I had acquired enough of a paper trail with the accumulated police reports to apply for a protection order. And I was granted a protection order, but in truth, it wasn't worth the paper it was printed on, because he violated that. And, I, again, would call law enforcement to report it. And it was a lot of, well, okay, so he was on the street, but the street's public, so was he really in violation? Even though he's following me in traffic and I have a restraining order against him, So things like that. There's like just loopholes and all this bureaucracy attached to it. So I was really, really frustrated that, I thought I was doing all the right things. I was doing all the things that I was told to do, call the police, make the reports, get the protection order. I was doing all the things that they were telling me to do, but yet it wasn't being enforced. So here I'm, continuously kind of living in fear, because everywhere I go, he's there. And it wasn't until it involved like major property damage that, and that is, let me just say, he was never convicted of anything. He was charged, but never convicted. So I have to put that out there. But when it got to that level of, then it was like they started taking things more seriously. But even after he was charged and he went through the system failed me. So there were all these charges that he was brought under. 5 felony charges was what it was. And then because the prosecutors didn't do their job correctly, ultimately everything was tossed out of court. So it was all for nothing. Everything that I went through, just, he walked. So once he got out, he continued to use the system to abuse me by filing lawsuits. And basically he just started using the legal system to harass me. So he totally abused the courts, and it's just been ongoing and ongoing and ongoing and ongoing. Because if they can do it, they will, you know.
Yeah.
So um, that's kind of, like I said, I could go on and on and on and on about the flaws of the system.
Mm.
It's not really set up. I was told time and time again, he has the right to this. He has the right to that. He had, you know, and it was his rights, his rights, his rights. And I remember saying, like, wait a minute, you know, am I a human being? Do I not count? What about my rights? Don't I have the right to live free of fear and harassment and intimidation and, you know, all these things that I was being subjected to? And it was incredibly, incredibly frustrating. So, you know, until we can, you know, have laws rewritten and you know, the advocacy work needs to, you know, that's where we can step in and like try to make things better. And that's kind of what I do, just by like, you know, sharing my story, bringing attention to where these loopholes are and things like that. But the laws definitely have to change before, you know, it's going to really, before we'll see any like real difference. The laws will actually have to be rewritten.
Yeah, and Adaire has said it's awful, and you know, can't understand how this can happen. Charges dismissed because the prosecutor didn't do their job properly, and the system is broken. It needs to protect vulnerable people, and it is true that you know, the system does across the Western world. It does fail. I hate using the word, the person who experienced domestic abuse is how I like to say it. It is, and it's very common. And like you said, the only way that we can make change with this is to actually continue to talk about it and bring it up and you know, expose it for what it is. I wanted to ask you, can you share with us, you have gifted the book to some services in your local area, I believe.
Yeah, so there's kind of the main or the largest domestic violence outreach center here where I live is called the Women's Center for Advancement. So I was able to gift books to them, and that will be distributed to the women that they help. And I'm working right now with the public library. So we have 7 branches of the library here. So I'm working now to try to get our book into the public libraries here. And, you know, just anyone and you know, anyone who's been willing to take it on, I've been eager to hand it out. So, you know, we're spreading it as far and wide as we can. But yeah, it was really exciting to be able to gift the book to the WCA and know that it's going to go to women who really, really need to hear these stories of inspiration, because they're going through it. And when you're going through it, you know, it can be incredibly lonely. So I think it's so powerful to be able to read stories of women who are on the other side of it and know that like recovery is possible, healing's possible, a happy, fulfilling, free life is possible on the other side.
Yeah, that is so true. And I love that you have spoken to the library, because, you know, it's not always something that you could take home. And if you could go to the library and read and see, you know, what's possible beyond what you're currently living, it might be what you needed to help you, you know, make that next step to actually leave a domestic abuse situation. And I've done the same here. It's gone into our library, and I'm going to have an interview, like talk to the author / publisher interview at the live in person, which we haven't been able to do for some time. So that's going to come up too. And I think that we keep advocating for this. It's a great way to actually move forward. Tell me about, there's a documentary that we are both involved in that a woman who lives in the United States is doing. Can you tell me about that documentary, just a little bit about it, so we can start giving it some exposure as well, please, Jen?
Yeah, so Anastasia is doing the documentary. It's titled Exposed. She is absolutely phenomenal. I'm so impressed with how extensive her research has been and how many different interviews she's done. So she's really being very thorough and making sure it's very inclusive. And she's doing an excellent job of just raising awareness and interviewing all sorts of different types of people, men, women, all different backgrounds, cultures, from all around the world. So it was really a privilege for me to be a part of that and just continue to, be an advocate and use my voice from this, small part of the world that I'm in to continue to just raise awareness. So it was really, like I said, an honor to be included in that work that Anastasia's doing for the Exposed documentary, which I believe will be out about mid-year, from what I understand, this year.
Yeah, I thought it was more like December, but I could be wrong. But yes, Anastasia is doing that, and we will put the links to get in contact with Anastasia. So if you are interested in knowing more about that documentary, we'll let you know. And of course, the phone rings, doesn't it?
Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. Jen, last question for you. Can you tell us, is there something that you would like people to do? I will just say you can jump on over to Amazon and grab our book. Hear Her Roar is the book for women who have experienced domestic abuse and are now living a better life. And I want you to grab it and read all the stories, including Jen's and mine in there, and learn from what we have been exposed to and how you can move forward. Jen, is there something that you would like to leave everybody with, as in what they could do to actually help spread the word of domestic abuse?
Well, first, I just want to say, if you're a person that's in this circumstance and you're going through it, please reach out for help. You're not alone. There's people here who want to help you. And all of there's information in the book for the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence phone number and website, my personal contact information. So I would implore anyone who needs help to reach out, because you're not alone. And then secondly, for anyone listening to this, I would just say, what we have to do is just continue to be vocal about it. It needs to have, domestic violence has been sort of this taboo thing. It's like the dirty little secret that nobody wants to talk about. And women are kind of shamed and judged. And I experienced a lot of that myself, so I know it happens. So the more that we talk about it, the more we can kind of destigmatize it and, pull the veil back and help people see this is far, far more common, unfortunately, than people realize. This happens to all different types of people, different backgrounds, cultures, socioeconomic levels. There's just not, a box that you can put this into. So the more we talk about it, the more we raise awareness, the more people will feel comfortable reaching out for help, the more they'll see maybe the red flags in the early stages, so they don't get into these situations to begin with, because, I firmly believe that education is empowerment. So if we can empower, especially the younger generation of women, to kind of learn from the mistakes that some of us have made. That's another thing that I'm doing here in my local community, is working on a program that I'm actually going to take into middle schools. And that's kind of where, it's tailoring it to where I'm trying to get it down to where the schools feel comfortable talking to. These are going to be 12 to 14-year-old boys and girls, because I really believe it. If we're going to end domestic violence, we have to start by educating the youth. Yes. And that looks like, teaching young girls what healthy relationships look like, and teaching young men emotional intelligence, so that they learn how to deal with their emotions and don't turn into men who lash out and, can't process things and end up, doing these maybe potential acts of violence, or even, unfortunately, there's a lot of, like I said, mental, emotional stuff that goes along with it too. So we need to educate the youth, and just by talking about it, we're doing that. Just conversation in and of itself is we're part of the solution just by talking about it.
That is brilliant that you're doing that with the schools. I think that that's where the key lies, doesn't it?
It really does, and I'm not there yet. It's still in the working stage, because it is the public school system, and they have to be so careful about wording, and there's a lot of bureaucracy and red tape around it. So it's it's still kind of in the I don't know what the word is that I'm looking for. It's in the works, but we'll get it. I'm just fine tuning it so that it's acceptable.
Well, to me, it's they do sex education in school, so it's an extension of sex education, is relationship education, because if they don't have good role models at home, which I didn't, it's not, you're not able to know what is a good relationship because you're not taught it. It's not something that. And it's not even something that would have been available when I was a kid online. And, although there is some stuff now, kids aren't going to go looking for that. They're not going to seek out. They don't know that they need it. Mm-hmm. I'm so
I couldn't agree with you more. It's it's kind of my passion project now, because like I said, education is empowerment. So hopefully getting to the youth, we can really, really make a bigger impact.
Yeah, absolutely. We do need to do that. I'm just going to check our comments here, and it says, Roz has said, Chris is with us. Thanks for joining us, Chris. Roz has said, the more conversation about DV that happens, the more it is heard, and eventually more can be done. Thanks, Roz. And Adaire agrees with Roz. We do what we learn until we can unlearn and know better. And that's so true. And it's exactly what I've seen repeat time after time from everybody that I've spoken to. It's things that they've learned or their partner has had as learned behaviour that they continue as a pattern. Thank you so much for being with me, Jen. We will put your contact details into the chat, but can you tell everybody how they can get in touch with you?
You can hit up my website, zenbyjenhealing.com. Shoot me an email at jen@zenbyjenhealing.com. Reach out to me via Facebook through my.
Oh, she froze right at the right time, just as we're finishing up. So just because I always had trouble with Jen's accent, it's Zen, Z-E-N, by Jen. I never knew what she was talking about when she spoke it to me, but then I read it and I was like, oh, that's what she's saying. Thank you so much for being with us, Jen. It's been a pleasure talking to you, and thank you for the work you're doing in this space and for contributing your chapter to the book.
Thank you for having me, Brigid. It's been a pleasure and an honor.
Great to see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
It is really difficult subject to talk about, and I want you to consider that even for me, who it's been over 20 years since this experience was part of my life, and probably even over 30 years, and it's something that I do still struggle talking about. So it's not something that's easy for many of us to talk about, and I want you to think about this, and when you read the book and hear the words that these women have shared, know that they are doing this to help others and to allow others to change the current reality that they're living in, and to take care of yourself. If you read this and it does bring up triggers for you, and it allows you to process things even more so, or it makes you have realizations of what you're currently experiencing, then please do reach out for help. Don't do this alone, because there's so many people who want to give you the help that you need and to allow you the opportunity to change what you're currently living through. So I would like to welcome our next guest, Belle, to join me. And I'm just going to open our chat with letting you know a bit about her story that's actually in the book. So just sharing a snippet from her book. Like every other girl, I always yearned for a happy family, a complete family. Have you heard of needing a man to keep a woman safe in the society? Yes, I needed a man, a father to protect my family. My father died when I was a year old. My timid and illiterate mother had no idea how to run his business, and we lost our home and all the savings. She worked 3 jobs in a day to support us financially. I still remember how, while waiting for her to finish her cleaning and housemaid job, I would be playing at one corner. I was always sticking with my mum until I turned 4 years old. Bells, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
It's really, difficult childhood for you, and a hard way to grow up. And you had this societal, and you were educated that what you needed to complete you was a man.
It was very tough to be to grow up in a. Sorry, I'm getting emotional. It's very tough to be grow up in an Indian society, in the Indian culture, because I think it's generation by generation. Women are taught and they are supposed to behave that kind. Women can't do things that is outside the culture, can't do something that is beyond their power. So we have to always hide ourselves. We have to always live in fear. So from young, when I see my mom, she just can't operate without a man. What I'm trying to say, without my father, because that was how she was brought up. She depended on my grandfather, and then my grandfather chose a man for her. She just married the man, and when she lost her father, lost her husband, I can see my mom doesn't know how to do anything. So up till today, she's 68 years old. She's amazing. She has been living her life just for her children. Yeah. She agrees with whatever we tell. If we say A, we say B, we say C. She doesn't have her own voice. And I know this 68 years old, I can't change her mindset. I just have to love her for who she is and understand that this is my mom. And as I was going through my own healing journey, I thought that the pain that was in me was towards men. I grew up, I got beaten up, I got sexually abused, I got mentally abused. I went through all the abuse as a childhood that it was so scared for me to grow.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wish I had the book that we wrote, Hear Her Raw, when I was 18 years old. I wish I had all this support when I was that youth. When I was trying to think, what should I do? Should I just go out and find a man so that I can end my childhood pain and all this struggle? Because nobody teach me how. I know is I need a man. And I grew up in a family where, after my mom, I have an amazing sister who, even after she gave birth to 4 kids, after all the abuse she go through, she still stayed on that marriage. And he was the same man who was actually abusing me, and my niece had to go through that, and I was like, it was woman after woman after woman in the family. It's just generation, I'm like, enough. And when I decided to put a stop to it without knowing how, without knowing what is this trauma, what is this healing, what is this pain patterns, I don't know all this. Nobody taught me, nobody in the family knew. But what hit me was when I gave birth to a girl. Brigid, that I'm so happy. I love my daughter so much, but the fear I have, another woman to go through this.
Yeah.
Because every woman, my mom went through it, my sister went through it, I went through it, my niece went through it, and I gave birth to a daughter. Fear in all levels in me.
Yeah.
And my ex-husband, he mentally abused me, saying like, after all, when I'm with you, you're not a clean woman, you're a prostitute. Mentally abused me because he knows a lot about my past. He knows what happened to me. So I'm like, I thought, as long as he loved me, it's okay. I'm willing to do anything. I went to work. I was the man in the family, So when my sister finally divorced, I think I saw how she went through. She was depending on sleeping tablets. She just take medicine and sleep and sleep and sleep. Went to meet psychiatrist, psychologist, and it was scared for me. What if I go through divorce and I had to go through that?
Yeah.
So it was like, with a man we are in pain, without a man we are in pain. So it's scary what to do, what's next. But then I am glad that after like I had to go through this part, because after my ex-husband left me when my daughter was 3 months old, he left me with 10,000 of debts, and he went into prison. He went in the prison.
Yeah.
So in my life, in my marriage, he wasn't always there. He was half of the time in the prison. But because I see him as, oh, this man can protect me. He's a gangster. He can protect me from this, So who at that age, at that 18 years old age, if they are going through childhood abuse, all they want in another man is a man to protect them. That was my criteria, Brigid. I just wanted a man to protect me. That's it. There's no other criteria. He can be an asshole. He can be in and out of prison. He doesn't need to work. He doesn't need to do anything. I will do everything. You just protect me. So when he left, it was very tough for me because the 10,000 debt was under my name. I had to work 3 jobs in a day just to, clear the debts and then feed my family. And my mom was staying with me because my sister was already under depression and she was healing herself. And I'm glad, I'm very, very, very grateful until today, Brigid, that I went to upgrade myself. I think to all women who's watching this, personal development is very important. Very, very important. And healing doesn't just take 1 day, 2 days, 1 month, 2 months. I was a single mom for the past 9 years. Until today, I'm still healing. Because every day in our life, one way or another way, we get triggered. For example, I choose to change. I choose to live a different life now. And when I shift this energy inside me, things on the outside change.
Yeah.
My ex-brother-in-law, who was an ex-brother-in-law, the same man who my sister divorced, he came back as a changed person, and now he and my sister are happily married. And I don't have any pain towards him. I see him with love because I have healed myself. And it's not easy for any woman to go through that, to be living with a man who has sexually abused you, physically abused you, and still love him like a father. But because I choose to focus on myself, Brigid.
Yeah.
So things have changed for me now. I just got married. I'm pregnant right now. I have migrated to a new country. So I think healing is very important. Yeah. And support. So everyone out there, I believe this book, not only the adults should read it, children should read it, especially you. Because at the 18 years old, that Belle, if she had the book, if she had the support, she wouldn't get married and, her life wouldn't be like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful, way to put it, that if you had have known more and been educated in a different way, it's like what Jen's doing, trying to get the program into middle school in America and allowing that to educate them on relationships. That's what's missing in society, isn't it? Is relationship lessons.
I started to do that in Singapore. That's why I was speaking in all the college, like the famous NUS college in Singapore. I spoke in Singapore Women's Prison in the youth conference because that was my goal for the longest. I must reach out to the youth. And now I'm here in Australia. This is just my first month here. This is what I want to do. I feel that it's very important, like what you all shared. It is important to have sex education in school. It's also important for them to know about this. Yeah. So I'm going to continue this mission here, Brigid. Our book is just the beginning.
Yes,
it's just the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah. Belle, tell us, you were talking about doing self-development and healing work. What type of work did you go through? What did you do?
Because I was broke, right? So I realized this, Brigid. Okay, I'm sorry if it's wrong. This is based on my experience and all the women I've helped, I realized that when they are broke, when women are broke, don't have money, in survival mode, that is when they will go and seek help.
Yeah.
I was one of them. When I was going through abuse, I did not seek help. When I was going through all the pain, I did not seek help. But when I was broke, I did not have any money, I seek help. Because I know I got a daughter and I got bank calling me every week. You have to pay, you have to pay. Even though I told them, it's a debt left by my ex-husband. They just listen, but okay, when are you going to pay? Yeah. So I'm like, okay. So when I went from, programs to understand where is this block in me? Because at the same year, I lost my marriage, lost money, I lost everything. So I feel that woman who's going through healing right now, they must be thinking that, oh, I'm broke. Relationship failed. Nothing good is happening. Women are meant to suffer and struggle, which is not true, right? So I go deep into it. I travel, I learn, I went deep into it, took many courses, and then I realized there are patterns, Brigid.
Mm-hmm.
Our womb as a woman connected to our grandmother's womb. So it's everything, the pattern is so scary. I'm like, when I sit down and like, oh my God, my grandmother doesn't have a voice. My mom doesn't have a voice. My sister doesn't have a voice. I'm like, and I'm the youngest in the family, like 1 year after I was born, my father passed away. I felt that maybe this is my mission. I'm meant to be in this world, to tell that women have a voice.
Yes.
We are powerful. So this is what I do, Brigid. I help women to go deep into their generation patterns. Before you want to heal anything else, you must know where the pattern come from. Yeah, so the pattern can be broke. Every woman in the family is broke, or can be every woman in the family is got abused, sexually abused. So there's many different levels of patterns. So I help them to, break the patterns. I did it. That's why I'm here now.
Yeah, exactly. Because, if you waited for your ex-husband to come out of jail and went back to him, things could have got even worse and escalated to a point where you wouldn't be here anymore.
Brigid, I want to share a story. This is very important because this story there's so much of aha moments. I know of this family, a close family, a friend, right? So the same year, Brigid, in the same year, okay, I said boys, probably they're 18, 9, 20, 21, around there. They commit suicide. 3 in the same family, they are all brothers, Brigid, brothers, okay? They commit suicide because a girl reject them, a girl said no and stop them from abusing them and all. They can't accept that a woman left them. So I just quietly, observe this family, but the first guy who committed suicide, he wrote a letter. I tell you, this is the reason why every mother who's watching this, you have to do this for your children. You know what the son wrote? Mom, I thought all women are like you. You endured with all fathers' abuse. You did not say no. You did not stand up. So I thought it's okay for me to be like that and all women will stay with me. But it's wrong, that's not the case. She left me, Mom. She's not like you. And he jumped down.
So it's not only generationally affecting women in your culture, it's also affecting the men who think that that's what's normal, and when it doesn't happen for them, they can't stand it and they have to get out.
Yeah, so boys growing up, these boys, so it's not only girls, boys growing up thinking it's okay to abuse women, it's okay to do this, because my mom did that. My mom, they want unconsciously, men, they want a woman like their mother.
Yes.
So when nowadays women speak up, they stop, they know what they want, a lot of men have the fear. Right? So it's very important, Brigid. I think this mission of ours it's so important that not only girls, we have to reach out to the boys also.
Yeah. Well, I've said before publicly, I pay my children to read our book. And I said, as hard as it is to read this, like, I'm waiting for my 13-year-old to get a bit older, but the 15-year-old, who's almost 16, I've said to him, I'll pay you to read the book. And he's read a few chapters and he said, Mum, it's so sad. I don't want to. And I said, yes, but darling, the understanding you're going to get from listening to other people's stories, and other people might disagree that it's too early or whatever, but I was subjected to things, watching things happen to my mother that no human being should do to another. No. And I want my children to understand that that's not okay. And I think through this book and the way that the words are written, it's okay for him to read it. And, it's nothing compared to what I saw or what you would have witnessed or you experienced yourself. So I think that it's definitely, we have to start with our youth. You can grab our book over on Amazon Live, and you can grab either the paperback or the ebook. And we would love to hear from you once you've read our stories. Belle, can you share with me, you do now have a fantastic life, and I want people to know that beyond what you've experienced, you haven't allowed your past to become your future. Yes. So tell us about your beautiful life you have now.
Okay, so after years of healing and working on myself, I decided, so I am now married, right, to an Australian man, my husband, who he is my greatest support. I feel that I attract this man. I remember writing down what kind of spouse I want. I write down my spouse list because I decided to open up my heart, and I feel that I deserve good things in life, and I will only attract good things in my life. I no longer attract men who are abusive. During my healing journey, okay, this is what I want to tell you, Brigid. After my divorce, during my healing journey, I attract men, right? Different body, same energy. This is the part for all women. You must be thinking like, okay, I can jump into the next relationship. Yes, every woman needs support, need love, need someone there. Fine, you deserve it. But they will realize if they never heal themselves, they will just attract the same energy, different body. Yeah. So it was so tired. I'm like, why am I attracting the same kind of men? So I keep working on myself, and yeah, I think it took me a while. No, you don't have to wait until 9 years or 10 years. Like for me, maybe I had a little fear because I have a daughter. So unconsciously, I have this like me and my family, all of us got sexually abused at 5 years old. So I'm like, unconsciously, I was trying to protect her. Then I realized like, no, whatever I feel, I will attract that. So I work on it and all. So right now, I'm happily married. I'm pregnant. I've migrated to a country. This is my new journey and new beginning now. I don't know anyone in this country. I have built a strong branding in Singapore. People know me as woman empowerment. I go stages after stages to talk. And now when I come here, I feel like nobody knows who am I. I am new. But this is exciting and interesting. Because when it is new, there is a lot of opportunity. Right? So I want to let every woman know, Brigid, that woman, you don't need to struggle and success. Like I think, I'm so sorry, right? I am a Muslim. So I see that a lot of, these religious classes that I used to attend in the past, they used to say about, in life, you have to have challenges. This is your challenges. God love you when you go through challenges. And you're not supposed to be rich. You're not. So I stopped attending all that, because I feel that's not true. That's not true. We are not supposed to be born in this world to be poor. We are not. We can still enjoy life and do charity. This Hear Her Raw is the biggest charity. Every woman who read it, who bought it, and who even wrote it, that's the biggest charity. Because we want to end suffering. We want to stop all this generation pain.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
No, I love it. And I love that you shared that, it wasn't just, left the ex-husband and then spent 9 years alone. You kept attracting the same thing. And that's very common for women to do that. And I think it's a gift that you've just shared with everybody that, it's okay that if you did do the same thing, you will eventually find your true worth, and you'll find somebody who matches that. Yeah. Belle, how can people get in touch with you?
Okay, so right now, anyone who's watching this, I have I'm gonna give you all a one-time offer of my free session on how to identify the blocks and patterns in your life. Right, this is for all who's watching this. So you can contact me in my Facebook, Belle LV, BELLEE space LV. Brigid, many people ask me why did I spell my name like that. Actually, if you put BELLEE and then space LB, it's actually believe in love.
Oh.
Yeah. The word believe itself, Brigid, means be in love. You can't believe in something if you're not in love with it.
Yeah.
Right? So,
I love it.
yeah.
That is so clever. I hadn't heard that from you before. I love it. And I was curious why it had the two E's on the end of Belle.
Should I call you Belle or should I call you Belly? I know, but there's a reason behind it because believe in love, be in love. Love in all levels, being love in yourself, love being a woman, love. It's so difficult, Brigid, for women to love being a woman.
Yes.
Yeah, and we are now doing this, to tell them you can love yourself being a woman. Yeah.
Yeah, you can. And you brought up that you said just a moment ago you were a Muslim, and I didn't know that about you. And I want to ask you, do you still, like, some of the things they taught you are not what you believe? Do you still practice as a Muslim?
Okay, I used to wear hijab. Okay, so in Singapore, all my previous branding was this girl wearing hijab. That was my belief to cover myself up and all. So now the reason why I open up my hijab is nothing about religion, nothing about I'm no longer a Muslim. No, I respect my religion. I still believe in humanity. I think humanity and love, that's my religion now. Humanity, love, and being kind. Because it's beyond just religious to me now. It's just beyond religion. And I want people to know it's not the hijab. People come to me last time because they see, because I see you're wearing hijab, you're a perfect Muslim. So I want to follow you. It's not about that anymore, Brigid. I don't have to wear a hijab to be a good person, a good human,
Yes.
and I don't have to. That's why, like you said, nobody knows I'm a Muslim, because I feel that it's beyond that. Now my religion is humanity, it's kind, it's love. I want people to know that there are people who are seeking. I was one of them. I said, God, I pray 5 times a day. I cover up myself. I do everything that the religion told me to do. But why did I got abused, God? Why was that 5 years old girl got sexually abused? Where, like all these questions. And I realized my niece, who's now, she knows she's born as a Muslim because her family is Muslim, but she is seeking, Brigid. She's like asking herself, like, she said, but why God create us to make us suffer? But actually, it's nothing about God. God did not do any wrong. It's how this human has put into us that if you are a religious person, you will have to go through this. What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The humans that do
They
it.
change. So it's beyond that. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Belle. That's really nice of you to share that, because I think that, a lot of people struggle with that, because I'm a Catholic and I don't practice as a Catholic, but I was born a Catholic and raised a Catholic, and, I still have belief of God, but it's not the same as being a practicing Catholic. And it's something that I think, especially those who are married in our Catholic religion, it's that vow of, you don't leave. No matter what happens, you don't leave. And that's not true. If it's not good for you, you don't stay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like you said, it's the, being good, loving person, kind, helping others, humanitarian is more important than what a label of religion can do for you. So thank you so much for sharing that, Belle. I appreciate it. We are going to wrap up now. So thank you for being with us, Belle. If you would like to reach out to her, Belle LV, as she said, it's BELLEE on space LV on Facebook, and do connect with her. Thank you so much.
And Adaire, I'm honored to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Please do pop on over and grab our book from Amazon, and it has been wonderful to speak with the authors today. And do take some time to have self-care, because talking about this topic can be very heavy, and we do feel it. And I know that sometimes it's time to take time out for you, and after listening to these stories, it may be that time. Thank you so much for being with us. We will be back next week with some more authors in the spotlight. Thank you, Adaire, for producing our show again today.